Would you do it all over again? Marrying these women and living a plural life.
No.
And all of the stages, Lehigh, Las Vegas,
It was the
Flagstaff.
experience that I had, and now that I've had the experience, I was like,
having watched season 19 or having watched Sister Wives since the beginning, I'm a bit puzzled by this man and some of the stuff that he says. The idea or the audacity to say he would never do polygamy again at any stage of his life. Yes, I understand moving on now, but what about the beginning when he had all these children? It doesn't make sense to me. At times, I wonder whether Kody sort of listens, digests the question, and then gives a response, or he just listens to respond. Because at times, some of the things he says, you are like, please take a moment and think of what you're saying, because you have children involved in this. What impression do you want them to have of you? And then he turns around and blames his wife when it's his mouth. His mouth is the one that is making all the mistakes for him, and his mouth is what is to blame for all the issues that he has with his children. Anyway, I digress. Hey there, thanks for stopping by. Welcome to my channel. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe, click the like button, turn on the notification bell for when I upload new videos, and definitely leave a comment. In this episode, I'll be reviewing Sister Wives Tell All Part 4, Season 19, Episode 29. Hi everyone, I'm so sorry for my late upload. Life has been lifing and I've been busy with Love is Blind. Anyway, so we catch up with Sister Wives, and it's Christine, Janelle, Kody, and Meri. And there's this conversation about Kody wanting his wives to present a certain way. And he was very, he used to tell the wives off if they didn't make themselves presentable. Christine and Janelle bring up an incident where they went camping and they were chipping in and going out with the kids, and Robyn was there fixing her hair and doing her makeup and sorting her kids out. Christine feels aggrieved in the sense that after all she had done, the sacrifices she had made, making sure the camp was tidy, making sure there was food to eat and everything else, Kody came back and yelled at them because he felt that, she should have been more presentable. Presentability mattered to him. The fact that he wanted his wives to look very good in front of everyone, so this was a problem for him. Janelle repeats the same thing. She feels the same way. Meri is being very diplomatic because Meri says, yes, everyone, some people want to look presentable, some don't. It's up to the person, so we can't really make a big deal about it. Robyn, as per usual, has forgotten about it. She says that people are just bringing up stuff just for the sake of bringing up stuff. She doesn't remember this incident, so she doesn't understand why it's such a big deal. And it's like, okay, it's not a big deal because you were benefiting from everybody else being miserable, from everybody else working hard to make sure everything was available for you. This is why you might not remember. Christine spoke about the fact that she felt like Kody didn't respect her in her marriage. And the moment she learned self-respect was when she kicked Kody out of her bedroom. David spoke about the fact that polygamists, they normally use the wife's sort of in-house fighting as a way to gain control and to sort of appear as the head of the house. This makes sense to me. This does make sense to me. If you look at the fact that Kody married Janelle, I don't think Meri was aware, and that created havoc, and he reveled in that havoc because as long as they didn't get along, then he could do whatever he wanted. And then when Christine came in, the same cycle continued. And then these wives were not getting along, in my opinion. That's the impression that I get. And so he was able to sneak in his beloved wife in the form of Robyn. So I get where David is coming from, that polygamists use the wives not getting along as a way of controlling and remaining the head of the wife of the household. And it's like, oh God. Kody on his part doesn't feel, this is right. And so it's just a merry-go-round with allegations, going left, right, and center. You have Kody sort of talk about the fact that since he was respectful up until the wives left and they started being mean, he was always a nice guy. And it's like, no, you were not. You were not. When you were calling Christine out, when you were saying you were never attracted to her, you didn't love her, that was not you being a nice guy. When you were leaving Janelle to live in a trailer while you were living in McMansion, that was not you being a nice guy. When you were ignoring Meri for decades and decades and decades, that was not you being a nice guy. So the audacity to call out that you were a nice guy until the wives left, that's not it. You tolerated the wives once you found your chosen one so that they could finance your lifestyle, but you were never an amazing husband. Let's be for real. So the conversation shifts, and we get to hear the conversation that Cody and Robyn had on their date, where they spoke about their first encounter or first meeting. And personally, up until now, I don't understand how they felt that story was appropriate, given that this was a man in a polygamous relationship. It's sort of questionable as to, was it a sign from God, or did these people already coordinate that this is where they were going? Because we all heard that they dated. I think they were courted for about a year or something. Because at the time, Robyn was saying she wanted the children to be comfortable with this decision. And yet you have Cody and Robyn saying there was this bolt of lightning the first time they saw each other. And it's like, you are someone with 3 wives, with 12 children, one on the way or probably going to be on the way, truly. And so the idea that you were lustfully looking at someone else across the room doesn't make sense. This is what I think, because Cody said they met that time, and then the next time he met, because Meri refused that she didn't introduce them. And apparently, according to Meri, they were driving home and they came across some friends, and Robyn was with the friends there. And so this is how she got to meet Meri, and then, they became familiar around each other until they met at a dance, and Christine had gone home already, and Meri asked Cody if he could ask Robyn for a dance, because when they spoke, they had already developed this bond the first time she met Meri. What I think is this, hypothetically, I'm not saying it's the truth. I have a feeling Cody and Robyn lustfully looked at each other, right? And then they later caught up and started whatever they started. And then he was able to create a scenario whereby he gradually introduced his wives to Robyn as though it was a first encounter. It's too random an incident. It's too much of a coincidence for everything that happened, because they are saying we had this bolt of lightning. You had this bolt of lightning. Why didn't you come and tell the family that I saw someone and I couldn't look away? I had this bolt of lightning. No, he didn't tell his wives. All of them agreed that they weren't told. And so it makes me think that they started seeing one another, and then eventually Robyn or Cody decided to introduce her into the family, but didn't want to bring her in because the family would be suspicious. So he used Meri as a way to sort of lure Robyn into the family, and Robyn was playing this role of, no, I'm really not into it, and then having to be convinced, because otherwise the story doesn't make sense. I'm surprised we didn't get to see Robyn in this clip, because I would have loved to hear her opinion. And you can see that all the wives speak about their encounters. You have Christine saying that when she met Cody, she had this bolt of lightning. And when it happened and she came into the family, she told everyone that this is what happened to her when she first met Cody. So she doesn't understand how Robyn was able to keep her experience a secret. Janelle says, if she had dated Cody for a year, she would never have married him. She would have moved on. But at the end of the day, she's grateful because it has made her the woman that she is. And after all, she has 6 children with this man. Meri, on her part, said she felt the same way. It was very cutesy. She was very giddy. He made her feel seen. And so she's asked, when was the last time Cody made you feel seen? And she says, I can't remember. And that's the truth. She can't remember. It's been too long. This man has really messed her up. And so it seems Cody had a way of convincing these ladies to like him, or he's got that charisma that people can't help but fall in love with him. And sadly for the ladies, once he got what he wanted, he moved on until he found his person, and that person was Robyn. The audacity for Cody to acknowledge that polygamy is difficult when you fall in love, and I felt hard. My question is, when did you fall hard? Did you fall hard when you first encountered her, or did you fall hard along the way and didn't bother to sort of own up to the rest of your family? This part I found strange, because you had Cody. They discussed Cody's sex life, and it didn't make sense to me. And Cody always finds a way to sort of give a jab below the belt to Janelle and Christine, especially in my opinion, because he talks about the fact that, he had a sexual encounter before he got married, and he did tell Meri about it. He did tell Robyn, but he didn't tell Janelle and Christine. That's because they felt unsafe for him. And it's like, you've always said Meri wasn't safe for you. So if she wasn't safe for you, how did you tell her such a big secret? He's asked about this, and he says, well, Meri asked me, and because she asked me, I had to tell her. And it's like, Cody likes to talk from both sides of his mouth. And then he goes into this, oh, I didn't realize that I really had this sort of relationship with Meri, that I was very open. We started off with a very open and very safe relationship, and then eventually things just went left. And what I think is this: Cody wants a favor from Meri, and he wants to continue to manipulate her. So he wants to be in her good books. This is why he's trying to say all the nicest things about her and not say anything that he feels would upset her. Because he's happy to say anything and everything about Christine and Janelle. But with Meri, he's a bit more cautious in what he says and how he says it. And so I'm eyeing him, that is he doing this because he still cares about her, or is he doing it because he wants a favor from her? He wants something from her. Which is it? I don't quite get it, and I don't quite understand it. Christine felt, this was inappropriate. Well, she felt sorry for him, that he should have said something, because there was no need for him to keep it a secret. Janelle wasn't bothered. She says everybody has a past, so it's not a big deal. She doesn't see the hoopla about it. Christine was offended because she said, if I was married to him for so many years and he didn't feel the need to say this to me, and yet with Robyn, he felt safe to say it to her within a month, it makes me question. It makes me question, what else did they do? What did they do that made him feel safe? She implies that Robyn and Cody were physically intimate. You have Robyn lying and saying, well, okay, allegedly. She mistold the truth, because we all remember when the show started, when Cody was kissing her before he went to Christine, because Christine was in labor. So the idea that she's suddenly saying, their first kiss was after he proposed, buddy. And she said it was more like a peck. It was a very awkward. And it's like, seriously, don't do that. Don't do that. I feel like these two people saw each other and actually dated before they got married, because they had this very long courtship and used it as an excuse about the children, wanting to make sure that they were comfortable and they were safe before once they were ready. That's when they came to the family and said, we're ready. But I feel like this thing was pre-programmed and premeditated, and everything else that took place to get them to a point whereby they ended up saying, I do. Cody's asked, did you have any other encounters? He said, well, he did have one in high school, but he won't go into detail. And it's like, why are we discussing this? Of all the things we could be discussing, why are we discussing this? We could be discussing McMansion. We could be discussing why he's not giving these women their money. But we are discussing his SCX life. Make that make sense? So we end up with clips from the trip that they took with the OG3 and Cody and Robyn when they were still married. I think they were going through therapy. And so we get to see the task whereby they were asked, can you stand how close or how far you feel from Cody? And Christine asked Cody to stand in the middle, and he refused to stand in the middle because he felt that that would mean that the wives were only joined by him. And it's like, yes, they are only joined by him. Without him, they're not sister wives. So what part of it doesn't he get? And so to hear Cody's rationale and to hear him say Christine wasn't happy, I wish he had been asked, why exactly do you think she wasn't happy? Instead of just leaving him at, he wasn't happy. She wasn't happy because she felt like she was getting the bottom end of the stick, in the sense that she was getting the crumbs while everybody else was getting the better portions. Janelle and Meri, because they were the ones that went to work, they were in second place. Robyn always got the best, and Christine got whatever was left, because her role in the family wasn't valued, because she stayed at home and looked after the children. And so the idea that this man can't see this and can't acknowledge this is really sad. And I love that Christine said that, this was the moment she realized that there wasn't a place for her in the family. Well, she had that epiphany that, she didn't have a space there. because she couldn't find her space in the family. She couldn't find where to position herself because everything seemed to sort of revolve around everybody else. And I think Kody at that point tried to appease the other two women because he wanted their money. Even at this point, as he talks highly of Meri, I still think it's about the finances. He wants Meri to let him do whatever he wants with Kody Pass. He knows with Janelle he can't get away with it, so he wants Meri to succumb to anything. He thinks he still has power over her to manipulate her into sort of doing whatever he wants. He was able, or they were both able, to sort of be in polygamy because she was the first wife. She was able to sort of allow him to go and get more wives in the sense that he brought Janelle without talking, but he brought in Christine, he brought in Robyn, and so for the longest time, he was able to manipulate her. And I think this is why he was speaking highly of her. Not because he has any feelings or he has any good intentions for her. I don't think so. I love that the women are getting their aha moment as they sort of progress from Kody. You have Christine. She's now in a monogamous relationship. I remember saying this, that Christine, the moment her head turned was when she saw her children, how they were in their relationship, because none of their children are married into polygamy. And so I think seeing that is when she realized that I deserve more. Even Janelle acknowledged that, seeing, how their children, their daughters are treated by their husbands, or how their son that's married is treated by his wife, or how he communicates with his wife. This is when she realized that, oh, this is what was missing from my relationship. Meri now believes as well that she would never marry into polygamy at this stage. And for Kody to be asked, would you do it over again? And him say no. It's like, you have 13 children that came from these marriages. So are you saying you'd never have wanted those 13 children? Because without the polygamy, there's no children. He said you would go into polygamy if the other 3 wives were still there. And it's like he's saying that because he knows the church would allow him to be a polygamist one. And he knows that the other 3 wives would have funded whatever he wanted to do with his latest, hot pick. Robyn, on her part, apparently she's broken. This has left her broken. And it's like, why do we treat her like this delicate flower that she's not? Why do we try to make a big deal over nothing? I don't get it. I'm happy that they all got to sit down. They were asked, would you all sit down on one couch and have a conversation? There was, I don't think so. I think there's been a lot of bad blood, and I think there's been a lot of hurt feelings that they would all need to go to therapy. They would all need to go into therapy as a group and sort of iron out whatever issues they have. So Meri is right to say, there's a lot of hurt that's there. We would need to do some work before we came and sat on the same couch. And so they're moving on with life. We need to allow them to move on and start whatever part of their lives they're in. And hopefully they find their people. I love, Christine and David saying that they're going to register Janelle on farmers market or something like that. And it's like, she deserves love. Everybody deserves love. So I really hope Meri and Janelle find their person, because they went through a lot under Kody. They spent a lot of time appeasing this man only for him to treat them like crap. So they deserve the best. I can't wait to see what happens in season 20. Anyway, thanks guys for watching. Please don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And click the link in my video to watch my review from episode 29, Tell All Part 3.